The grimy workshop in Sector 7 of the orbital station buzzed with the familiar hum of welding torches and hydraulic presses. Adnan wiped the sweat from his brow, leaving a streak of oil across his dark skin as he hunched over another broken atmospheric processor. The human mechanic had been fixing things since he was 12, first out of necessity when his family's life support failed, then out of passion when he discovered he had a gift for making the impossible work again. "Excuse me," came a soft voice from the entrance. Adnan looked up to see a small figure silhouetted against the harsh corridor lighting. As his eyes adjusted, he made out the delicate features of a Zilithian child, no more than 8 years old by human standards. Her translucent blue skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, and her large opalescent eyes held a mixture of hope and desperation. "I'm Nehal," she said, her universal translator rendering her words in accented standard. "My legs, they don't work anymore." Adnan set down his plasma cutter and knelt to her level. That's when he noticed the crude mechanical braces wrapped around her lower limbs. Ancient technology, probably salvaged from a medical waste dump. The servos were failing, causing her to drag her feet with each painful step. "Where are your parents, little one?" Adnan asked gently. Nahal's bioluminescent patterns dimmed. "Mama works very far away. The other mechanics, they want too many credits. They say Zilithian anatomy is too complicated." Adnan's jaw tightened. He'd heard this story too many times. Species discrimination disguised as technical difficulty. The Galactic Consortium preached unity, but down in the lower sectors, prejudice still ran deep. "Let me take a look," he said, gesturing to his workbench. For the next hour, Adnan carefully examined the failing braces. Zilithian physiology was indeed complex. Their nervous systems operated on bioelectric frequencies that interfaced poorly with standard prosthetics. Most mechanics would have charged triple rates just to attempt a repair, assuming they'd even try. But Adnan saw something else entirely. Where others saw complications, he saw elegant solutions waiting to be discovered. "I can't fix these," he said finally. Nahal's patterns flickered with disappointment until he continued, "But I can build you something better." Over the following weeks, Nahal became a regular fixture in the workshop. While Adnan worked on paying jobs during the day, his evenings were devoted to her project. He studied Zilithian biomechanics through bootlegged medical databases, learned to read the language of her bioluminescent emotional displays, and slowly pieced together an understanding of her unique neural pathways. The girl was remarkably intelligent, often suggesting improvements or pointing out flaws in his designs. She spoke of her mother with reverence but never revealed specifics, only that she was important and worked with many people. Adnan didn't pry. In Sector 7, everyone had secrets. The breakthrough came when he realized he could use Nihal's own bioelectric field to power and control the prosthetics. Instead of fighting her alien physiology, he would work with it. He crafted neural interfaces from quantum processors, built servo muscles that responded to bioelectric impulses, and designed a power system that fed off her natural energy output. The Exo-Legs were a masterpiece of improvised engineering, sleek, responsive, and perfectly attuned to Zilithian biology. When Nehal first stood in them, her patterns blazed with joy so bright that Adnan had to shield his eyes. "I can run!" she laughed, taking her first steady steps in months. "Mama will be so happy." 3 days later, the consortium battlecruiser Stellar Dominion docked at the station. Adnan was calibrating Nehal's new legs when the workshop door burst open. A squad of armored soldiers filed in, followed by a tall Zilithian woman whose presence seemed to fill the room. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed with the deep, commanding rhythms that Adnan recognized from diplomatic broadcasts. Supreme Admiral Zara Kath, the Iron Lady of the Outer Rim, the Zilithian who had united 12 species under the consortium banner and commanded a fleet of 10,000 ships. "Mama!" Nehal cried out, actually running into the Admiral's arms. The Supreme Admiral's fierce expression softened as she embraced her daughter, her patterns synchronizing with Nehal's in a display of pure maternal love. When she looked up at Adnan, however, her eyes held the steel that had conquered star systems. "You are the human who built these?" she asked, studying the Exo-Legs with an engineer's appreciation. Adnan nodded, suddenly very aware of how shabby his workshop must appear to someone of her stature. "Every expert in the consortium told me it was impossible," she continued. They said the bioelectric incompatibility couldn't be overcome. They wanted to perform experimental surgery to alter my daughter's nervous system to accommodate their crude machines. She approached the workbench where Adnan's schematics lay scattered. Yet here stands a human mechanic from Sector 7 who solved what the galaxy's finest minds could not. I saw the problem differently, Adnan said quietly. The Admiral's patterns shifted to something resembling amusement. Indeed. My advisors speak of human stubbornness, human recklessness. They warn that your species refuses to accept impossible as an answer. She gestured to her daughter, who was dancing around the workshop on her new legs. Perhaps that is not the weakness they believe it to be. She placed a credit chip on the workbench, enough to buy a dozen workshops like this one. The Consortium Naval Academy needs instructors who think beyond conventional limitations. Interested? Adnan looked at Nehal, whose patterns were blazing with excitement, then at the credit chip that represented more money than he'd see in a lifetime of repairs. Will there be other kids like Nehal? Others who need impossible things made possible? Supreme Admiral Zarakath's patterns brightened with something that might have been respect. Human, there are always those whom the galaxy has written off as unsalvageable. The question is, are there enough humans willing to prove the galaxy wrong? Adnan smiled, pocketing the credit chip and beginning to pack his tools. In the distance, Nehal's laughter echoed through the workshop as she tested the full range of her new legs. Ma'am, he said, you'd be surprised what humans can do when someone needs help. The Admiral's patterns pulsed with approval. Perhaps the Consortium's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their fleets. It was their ability to recognize that sometimes the most profound solutions came from the most unexpected sources. Sometimes they came from humans who simply refused to accept that a little girl shouldn't be able to run.